Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Diana, if you're new here and you didn't know that. I make videos about my financial journey, paying off my debt, going to school, becoming a registered dental hygienist, and kind of just sharing lifestyle motivational tips. In today's video, I'll be walking you through how I organize my finances at the start of each month. And this is one of my favorite routines because it just really sets the tone for the month, helps me stay on track with my goals, and of course makes me feel less stressed about my money. So it always helps me make sure that I'm moving forward financially. So grab your coffee, whatever you're drinking. Let's just get right into it. So wow, my phone and camera, my setup just decided to spill over my coffee. What a great start. So the first step I like to do is, after I've kind of cleaned up my place, it's a little different now because I'm filming while I do this, but I made my bed. I did the most that I can before I go to work, but I kind of like to do it on a weekend where I'm not feeling rushed or busy, and just in case it makes me a little stressed out after, like if it hasn't been a good financial month, which hasn't happened in a while because I've been more on top of things, but like let's say for example when I was paying off my debt, I really like to make sure that I was doing this on a day where I wasn't going to be irritated even more after. So it was just kind of like a me day. Once I have kind of just set myself up, made myself comfy, have my coffee, whatever, the next step for me is to review my last month's spending. If you've watched my other videos, if you've been a long-time watcher, then you know I am a big fan of You Need a Budget. I talk about it in almost every single video in one way or another. But just to quickly recap what it is, it's kind of like a online envelope money system through an app. So I'm not carrying a bunch of envelopes with money, but it helps me allocate every dollar that I own to something. So every dollar has a job. So if you're not using You Need a Budget, it's not necessary. It's just something that really works well for me. You want to look at your finances, and that's what I use You Need a Budget for. It just keeps all of my different accounts in one area and easy to see. So I look at all my spending that I did for the month of September, because it's October now. Take a look at my groceries, bills, fun stuff, and this helps me see where I have gone a little over budget and then where I can improve. So on You Need a Budget, it just really breaks down everything easily for you. As someone that gets super overwhelmed, this has been really helpful. Get ready for this because September was a crazy month for spending. In total, I've spent $6,585.43. Yikes. And then as you can see here, it just breaks everything down as to how much I have spent. I think it's really important you take a look at your month before finances because it's what will keep you accountable. You need to take a look at your actual spending and compare it to what you planned. Things like, did I spend more eating out than I wanted to? Did I save as much as I aimed to? And then these kind of questions guide what you want the next month to look like. I find that when I don't do these monthly, the month kind of just goes a little bit crazy, and you will kind of see that in my September budget. So just quickly going through, showing you what I spent. So that amount is a little higher than what I normally spend. But if you watched my last video, I kind of asked the question of, should I be investing more? What should I do? And well, I took $1,000 out of my emergency fund to put towards my tax-free savings account where I invest. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to take another $1,000 this month and do the same thing so that I only have $5,000 cash like on hand and for an emergency. And then anything else that I want to go towards my now 10,000 goal of emergency fund, that extra $5,000 I want to invest. If you want to hear me explain it a little bit more, you can watch my last video. So that's why my spending is a little bit crazier. And then I like how on You Need a Budget, it tells you your like average monthly spending, average daily spending, most frequent category, which was eating out, and then largest outflow, which happens to be my rent, is what I paid the most on. There's been a lot of birthdays, a lot of going away things. I've had weddings, like just things that I've been out and about for on the weekend. Every weekend there was something going on. I had some guests over. I included covering the food for them in my eating out category. I also had some unexpected expenses that I wasn't planning on paying for, which was a dental hygiene conference that I'm going to in November. So I bought early bird tickets for that because it was cheaper, but I'm going to try and see if my work will cover some of it or all of it, crossing fingers. And then I've done a few things where I have reduced my subscription or memberships, so that will save me a little bit of money next month. What I like to do next is take a look at my budget for the month of October and see if I need to adjust my targets for the month. So with You Need a Budget, it basically just copies and pastes what I did the month before, but I can kind of go in and adjust things as needed. But if you're starting new with nothing before, this is where you're going to want to start a new budget. And the first things you want to work on in that new budget is starting with your fixed expenses. So things like rent, utilities, insurance, anything that you know the exact amount for that's going to be coming up monthly. And then adding the things that will be kind of fluctuating. So things like groceries, entertainment, gas, transportation. The variable expenses is where you want to be the most realistic, I feel. Haven't started a budget already, and this is brand new to you, you're going to want to start a new one. Create a new budget for the upcoming month, and then plan your fixed expenses. So like rent, utilities, transportation, gas, anything that you know is going to be the same amount month after month, you want to include those. What you also want to do is make sure that when you're doing your fixed expenses, that you include your savings or emergency funds as like a thing that you pay yourself first. I find that when you put the money in your emergency fund, savings, whatever first, and then plan your variable expenses after, you're more likely to save that way. And then you're able to be a little bit, let's say, like have a little bit more wiggle room with your variable expenses. And you also want to make sure that you leave a little bit of room for fun activities. It's really easy to think that we can stick to a super strict budget, and you might for a little bit, but stuff happens and working can sucks most of the time, honestly. I love what I do, but I don't like having to wake up every day kind of thing. That's for another time. All I'm trying to say is that life can be down, so make sure that you plan ahead so that you can do something fun and make work worth it. I try to stick to a general plan while also being kind to myself if things don't go perfectly. If you're not using a online tracking thing for a budget, I highly recommend obviously using a pencil so that you can erase and fix things, or finding your own Google Sheets something budget that works for you, even if it's like a printout, and then being able to like write things down. So I always have my notebook right next to me so that I can jot things down and put my thoughts on paper, because I don't know what it is, just sometimes it's a little harder to type it out. I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same for me personally. So when you start to update your savings and investment goals, that's after you've done your budget, so you know how much money you can allocate. This is kind of where you can also move things around so that you can achieve your savings goals. So right now I am really focused on maxing out my TFSA account. So each month I figure out how much I can comfortably put aside so that I can reach that goal relatively soon. So whether it's adding a little bit to my high interest savings goal, TFSA, investing in more stock, I just love seeing progress in this area. Even putting 10, 20, 50, 100 extra if I'm able to, I know it's all adding up over time. On my You Need a Budget app, I have a tracking area. So I track how much money I've put towards my investment accounts, but I don't update it obviously daily. It's not like tied to the stock market. But for me mentally, I like knowing how much I've put in and then comparing it to my app. I use Wealth Simple. It's a self-directed investing app. I'll leave like a link down below if you want to use my code. It's for Canadians. You get some money, I get some money every time someone signs up. Anyway, I like being able to see how much I've invested and then see how much it's grown in the app. For some reason, when I look at it can be a little hard for me to see because of my ADHD. I know I'm all over the place, but regardless, I like two different areas so that I can actually compare. So once I've gotten all that down, I also like to think ahead and plan for any big upcoming expenses. Obviously, I've been doing this for a while now, past couple months. So this could be anything from birthdays, holidays, stuff that you know is going to be a big expense coming in. They're called sinking funds, right? So if you have something that you want to save up for, it's $100, you divide that over how long you have until you need that money. So if it's like, I need $100 in so and so weeks, you divide the 100 by that number, and then that's how much you put in weekly or monthly, etc., etc. I always try and set aside a little bit of money ahead of time so that when it comes down to it, I am not surprised when these expenses come up. It's finally getting lighter, so I thought I would move towards the window. Lastly, I always like to check in with my long-term financial goals. And for me, this is mainly about asking myself if I am on track, if it's still something that I want. Am I on track for the bigger picture? I also ask, am I getting closer to my savings goal? What's my debt payoff looking like? Because I still have some student loans. And then, of course, do I need to adjust anything? Doing things like this monthly really helps me stay motivated and then reminds me of why I'm doing this all in the first place. It's not just all about the numbers and money and being greedy. It's all really about my journey to being financially secure. It's about that freedom and security that I'm looking for and that I'm working towards. I use my car journal here because I usually, a lot of the times, was doing this in my car before. But I wrote at the beginning of the year, little pages in my book on what I need, because I mentioned I like writing things down a lot and just having like a physical copy of my numbers and what they look like. So I started stuff with like quarterly, then I'm doing monthly. It's something I'll go over with you guys probably by the end of the year. Anyway, guys, construction is starting. You can hear that beeping. That's it. That's how I organize my finances. It's something that helps me feel and stay in control and helps me continue working towards my goals. It stops me from feeling super overwhelmed. I hope this gave you some inspiration on organizing your own finances. If you found this helpful, let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that there. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.